Hello and good evening. Welcome to Unlocking Finance with your financial friend. My name is Ntombi, and as usual, I am here to help you unlock your financial potential through simple, practical, and biblical money principles. So tonight on our show, we don't just believe money being numbers, but money is also spiritual, it's emotional, and it is also deeply connected to how we live our everyday lives. So tonight, we are beginning another powerful new series, still based on the book of Genesis, but now we're looking at it from a different perspective, and so we are going to title it Kingdom Money, Unlocking Financial Wisdom Through Scripture. So our episode today is from the story of Joseph in Egypt, planning for seasons of plenty and lack. So now our biblical reading will be in Genesis 41. I'm just going to touch on a couple of verses because it's quite a long chapter. But please do follow through with me as I read through. I will stop somewhere, but there are certain places that I really want us to focus on. So I'm reading from verse 1. After 2 whole years, Pharaoh dreamed that he was standing by the Nile. And behold, there came up out of the Nile 7 cows, attractive and plump, and they fed in the reed grass. And behold, 7 other cows, ugly and thin, came out of the Nile after them, and stood by the other cows on the bank of the Nile. And the ugly, thin cows ate up the 7 attractive, plump cows, and Pharaoh awoke. And he fell asleep and dreamed a second time. And behold, 7 ears of grain, plump and good, were growing on one stalk. And behold, after them sprouted 7 ears, thin and blighted by the east wind. And the thin ears swallowed up the 7 plump, full ears. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. So in the morning his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for the magicians of Egypt and all its wise men. Pharaoh told them his dreams, but there was none who would interpret them to Pharaoh. Then the chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, I remember my offenses today. When Pharaoh was angry with his servants and put me and the chief baker in custody in the house of the captain of the guard, we dreamed on the same night, he and I, each having a dream with its own interpretation. A young Hebrew was there with us, a servant of the captain of the guard. When we told him, he interpreted our dreams to us, giving us an interpretation to each man according to his dream. And he interpreted to us, and it came about. I was restored to my office, and the baker was hanged. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they quickly brought him out of the pit. And when he had shaved himself and changed his clothes, he came in before Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have had a dream, and there is no one who can interpret it. I have heard it said of you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. Joseph answered, Pharaoh, it is not in me. God will give Pharaoh a favorable answer. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, Behold, in my dream I was standing on the banks of the Nile. Now, I am going to jump to verse 25 because from verse 18 up until 24, he explains what happens in his dream. In verse 25, this is where Joseph interprets the dream. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, The dreams of Pharaoh are one. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dreams are one. The 7 lean and ugly cows that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty ears blighted by the east wind are also 7 years of famine. It is as I told Pharaoh. God has shown to Pharaoh what he is about to do. There will come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt, but after them there will arise 7 years of famine, and all the plenty will be forgotten in the land of Egypt. The famine will consume the land, and the plenty will be unknown in the land by reason of the famine that will follow, for it will be very severe. And the doubling of Pharaoh's dreams means that the thing is fixed by God, and God will shortly bring it about. Now therefore, let Pharaoh select a discerning and wise man, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh proceed to appoint overseers over the land, and take 1/5 of the produce of the land of Egypt during the 7 plentiful years, and let them gather all the food of these good years that are comforting or that are coming, and store up grain under the authority of Pharaoh for food in the cities, and let them keep it. That food shall be a reserve in the land against the 7 years of famine that are to occur in the land of Egypt, so that the land may not perish through the famine. Now, just to give us context based on what we've read, Joseph has just come out of prison. He's standing before Pharaoh, who is the most powerful leader in Egypt. Now, we see that Pharaoh had a disturbing dream. One where there were 7 healthy fat cows that came out of the Nile. And then there were 7 thin, sickly cows that came and ate the healthy ones. Then in another dream, there were 7 full healthy heads of grain, and which were followed by 7 thin scorched heads of grain that swallowed the good ones. Now, in this case, we see that no one could interpret this dream apart from Joseph. Now, Joseph says that God is going to show Pharaoh what he's about to do. Then he explains how the 7 good cows represent the 7 years of abundance, and the 7 thin cows represent the 7 years of famine. So in simple terms, if we summarize this, he basically said there will be good years and there will be bad years. Now, we see that Joseph doesn't just stop at the interpretation of the dream. He comes up with a financial strategy. He says, during the first good years, store up grain. In this case, he speaks about a 1/5 of the product of the land. He says, store up grain, save, prepare, and build reserves for what is to come, so that when the 7 bad years come, that Egypt will survive. And because of that wisdom, as you read further in the passage, you see that Egypt didn't just survive. They actually became a supplier to the rest of the world. Now, what is the principle here that we see in this passage? Is that financial planning is biblical. I'm going to say it again. Financial planning is biblical. Saving is not a lack of faith. It is not fear. It is not wisdom. It is wisdom. It is wisdom. Joseph did not pray away the famine. He prepared for it. Prayer is important in every aspect of our lives, but we cannot leave our tasks to just praying. We need to start executing. We need to start implementing. So in this case, that we see that Joseph prepared for it. So now, let me say that again for someone who's listening today, or tonight rather. God will show you things, but you must also prepare to execute it practically. So now, if we bring this into our everyday lives as South Africans, if we were to be honest, we do experience Joseph seasons. We experience them on a regular basis. Each and every single one of us are at different stages in our lives, and everyone at some point in their lives will experience a Joseph season one way or another. So your 7 years of plenty can look like a salary increase, or you're getting bonuses, you're getting income from your side hustles, or business peak seasons, could be tax refunds, or could be, spikes from income in December. And then when we look at your 7 years of famine, it could be things like, what people would title as January, or you could lose your job or be retrenched due to an illness, car breakdown, unexpected funeral expenses, load shedding that affects your business income. Understand that life already moves in cycles. And the problem is we do enjoy the plenty, but if we do not prepare for the famine, we will not enjoy the plenty in its full abundance, or we would find ourselves in a position where we are not prepared for the famine. Now, let's break down Joseph's financial system in simple terms. Now, Joseph created 4 financial habits. Number 1, he recognized the season. He knew that based on this dream, what we have right now is not forever. So understand that when money is flowing, do not assume that the money will always flow like that. Secondly, he stored a portion. The Bible says that he stored a fifth, which is about 20%. He put away 20% of whatever, income or whatever they generated. He put 20% away, which we would regard this as saving or, just putting aside, saving or investing and the like. So these were not leftovers. It's not something where he spent or they spent and whatever was left they put aside. He was intentional to say, for every produce, we take this first and put it aside, and then we will enjoy whatever is left. So he was intentional about this saving. The third one is that he created structure. He didn't just save randomly. He built a system and storage cities. So in the modern terms, it could look like your savings accounts, it could be emergency funds, investments, and your policies. But he created a structure not only that can be implemented by him, but a system that can also be reproduced and duplicated to other people for them to also implement. Number 4, which also aligns with what I just said right now, Egypt, he prepared for others too. Right? Egypt didn't just only survive, they helped other nations. So now, because they were in a better position, in a better financial position during the famine, they were also able to make provision and supply for other nations, which means that proper planning allows you to be able to help your family, to be able to help your parents, your children, and your community. When you are not in a good financial position, taking care of other people becomes difficult. So it's important for you to understand this principle, to say that you need to get your life in order, get your house in order first, so that you can be able to look after other people. Now, if we talk about real life situations or relatable issues in this day and age, first problem that I can say I've identified is our spending in the month of December. People say that December is not a month, December is a lifestyle, which is funny, but also it can also be quite expensive. Normally in December, we see that a lot of us receive our bonuses, our 13th checks, and also the stokvel starts paying out. But you find that by January, the money is gone. Money for school fees is due, transport money is tight, and groceries are a struggle. That is a Joseph problem, or let's just call it a Joseph problem. Number two is if you do not have an emergency fund. Most households in South Africa cannot survive 3 months without an income, meaning that if you have one emergency, it will get you into debt. You would need to rely or depend on debt to supply or take care of that emergency. Or one crisis would lead you to applying for a loan. Or one funeral could lead to a massive financial crisis. Problem number 3 is that we rely heavily on credit. Instead of storing during abundance, we borrow during tough times, and debt becomes our default solution. Now, understand there is nothing wrong with debt, but if debt is our only means of a solution, then that becomes a problem. Now that I've listed these 3 problems, what practical steps can we look at? Now, I think these steps can also be helpful for people that are running businesses. There are some months that are doing quite well and some months that don't do quite well. Even if you're working as an employee and you have a regular income, it's important that you apply this principle to your finances that will help you. So, step number 1, identify your plenty months. Now, ask yourself, when do I usually have extra money? So it could be the month where you receive your bonus, a month where business is coming in and it's quite good, or months that have fewer expenses. So normally you find January is maybe not the month for you to, regard it as a plenty because you're paying up all these expenses, especially if you are a parent with children or you are a student preparing for registration year or the like. So you look at the months maybe where you feel like I have less expenses or I have more money in my pocket. Secondly, step number 2, create a Joseph, or what I would call a Joseph account. This is your emergency fund account. You can start with any amount. You can start from 500 Rand, 1,000 Rand, 2,000, and start building it slowly. The goal with this account is to accumulate enough money that could take care of you between 3 to 6 months, that can take it between 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. So you calculate your expenses, your monthly expenses or your average or your total expenses on a monthly basis. Your aim is to calculate that amount of expenses, you multiply it by 3 months or you multiply it by 6 months, and that is your goal in terms of how much you want to set aside for your emergency fund, so that if anything happens, you have enough money to take care of your monthly expenses for at least 3 to 6 months. Right? Step number 3, decide what percentage is going to be. In this case, Joseph used 20%. You can decide, depending on your financial standing, whether you want to go for 5%, for 10%, for 15%, but work on a percentage that works for you, that will not put you in a place of financial strain, but also make sure that you are consistent with it. Step number 4, separate your money. Do not keep all your money in one account. Have an account where you can put money for spending. Have an account for savings, for emergency and investments. So I was watching a video on social media where a parent was with a child, and he basically put money into a card and gave this card to the child and said, "This is a card that I'm giving to you to spend on whatever you want. This is the amount that's on this card. The moment you deplete this money, then you won't be able to spend anymore." So if maybe you feel like an account is a reach, then maybe put it into a card. Maybe put different amounts of money on different cards and say, this card is for spending, this card is for saving, this card is for emergency and the like. But try and sort out your finances in a way where things are clear for yourself and the people that are involved. All right. Step number 5, protect your income. I am a testimony to this, of how important it is to have something in place that will protect your ability to earn an income. Because once your income stops, it is going to be difficult. It's going to be tough and strenuous for yourself and your family. Understand that famine doesn't only come as expenses, it also comes as a loss of income. If we really have to be honest, retrenchment is on a rise. Job uncertainty is also on a rise. You want to make sure at least you take care of yourself in those moments. Sickness happens. I had an experience for myself as well where I got sick a couple of years ago, and I had an income protection in place of which I was not aware of or wasn't informed about, and I didn't make use of it. I had the ability to earn an income in the midst of my sickness, in the midst of not being able to execute my job, but I didn't make use of it. But I just want to make you understand that those things are there in place to say, if you're not able to earn an income, if you're in a position, maybe you're sick, you're disabled, and you're not able to do your job to allow you to earn an income, there are things in place like income protectors, life covers, disability covers that are there to protect you in the event where you are challenged. So make sure that you protect your ability to earn an income. It's very important. In that way, you will know that even when things are not going too well for you, there is something that's coming in the event of retrenchment, in the event of illness, in the event of resignation or being terminated. Whatever the situation is, you know that there's money that you can ask or claim for in the event of trouble. All right. So now let's talk about the heart posture as well. Sometimes we don't save because we have this, what can I say? We have this attitude of saying that God will provide, or I'll make a plan, or something will come through. But we read here, Joseph teaches us that God provides through wisdom and preparation. Faith and planning are not enemies. They are partners. So it's important for us to have faith, yes, but faith also requires action. The Bible says this, that faith without actions is dead. We need to couple those two together. So now I want you to make a declaration. I want you to say this over yourself. Say with me, I am a wise steward. I prepare for my future. I will not be caught off guard by life. I store during seasons of plenty. My household will be stable and secure. Great stuff. So now if you are listening right now and you are thinking, Ntombi, I don't have a plan, I want to help you. As your financial friend, I offer complimentary financial planning sessions, budget structuring, emergency fund planning, protection planning, investment guidance, and you don't have to do this alone. So I'm here to assist you with that. So make sure you do reach out if you need help with that. And as we close tonight's episode, remember this, that there will always be seasons in life. Good seasons and hard seasons. Growth seasons, testing seasons. But wisdom says, prepare before the season changes. So here's our key for tonight to unlock your financial potential. It is prepare for seasons before they arrive. Now, this is Unlocking Finance with your financial friend. My name is Ntombi, and I will be with you next time as we continue unlocking your finances one principle at a time. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Have a good night and God bless.